Hello, everyone. Welcome to Immigration Update Desk. I'm your host, Alex Grant. Thousands of families and visa applicants are watching the National Visa Center more closely than ever because, for many people, the NVC stage feels like the longest and quietest part of the immigration journey. Documents are submitted, fees are paid, and then comes the waiting. Waiting for review, waiting for documentarily qualified status, and waiting for that long-anticipated interview date. This month, questions around NVC priorities and timelines are especially important because processing patterns are shifting and expectations need to be adjusted. So in this expanded briefing, I'll explain how NVC processing priority works in January 2026, what timelines applicants are actually experiencing, which cases are moving faster and which are slowing down, what's happening behind the scenes with embassy capacity and background checks, what DQ really means, how 221G administrative processing fits into the picture, and most useful, what you can do this week to reduce avoidable delays and keep your case in the best possible position. As of January 2026, the NVC continues to focus on documentarily complete cases, but not all cases are treated the same. Priority still goes first to immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, spouses, unmarried children under 21, and parents, because those categories are not subject to annual visa limits and can advance the moment documents are accepted and a post has capacity. However, smooth does not mean fast, because smooth at the NVC level simply means your case is not waiting for a visa number. Yet it can still wait weeks to months for document review and then additional time for an embassy to open an interview slot, so families should separate visa availability from scheduling capacity when setting expectations. In 2026, the single most common frustration remains document review. The NVC is carefully checking both financial sponsorship, the affidavit of support, and civil documents, and the standard has tightened. Small errors like missing signatures, the wrong tax year, blurry scans, inconsistent names, or outdated police certificates can push a case back by a full review cycle. When a checklist or submit requested documents message hits your CEAC account, the clock effectively resets, so a 10-minute correction can cost 6 to 8 weeks if you miss a detail, which is why completeness and clarity matter as much as the documents themselves. Family preference categories, spouses and children of permanent residents, F2A and F2B, as well as adult children and siblings of U.S. citizens, F1, F3, F4, continue to depend on visa availability under the Visa Bulletin. Even when the NVC completes document review and marks a case as DQ, interviews cannot be scheduled until the priority date is current on the applicable chart. And in January 2026, the NVC continues to hold thousands of documentarily complete cases that simply cannot move because the line ahead has not cleared. From the applicant's perspective, this DQ but waiting can feel like nothing is happening. But in reality, the file is ready and frozen until a number becomes available, which is why watching the Visa Bulletin monthly and understanding Chart A, final action dates, versus Chart B, dates for filing, is critical. Chart A controls when an immigrant visa can be issued, while Chart B sometimes lets you submit documents earlier, but many posts schedule only when Chart A is current. Employment-based immigrant cases are also moving through NVC with uneven pacing. EB1 and certain EB2 categories often advance faster, while other categories and countries of chargeability face longer waits due to per-country limits and shifting demand. An approved I-140 does not equal a quick interview abroad because scheduling still depends on post capacity, security screening, and whether the priority date is current for the specific chargeability area, so workers and employers should plan around realistic windows rather than optimistic anecdotes. Embassy and consulate capacity is the other major driver. The NVC does not control interview slots. Its role is to package and forward cases to posts that tell NVC how many interviews they can handle in a given month. So even after a case is DQ and a visa is available, scheduling depends on whether the assigned embassy has open capacity. In January 2026, some U.S. embassies are moving steadily, while others remain backlogged due to staffing shortages, security reviews, local restrictions, and episodic closures. The result is wide differences in wait times between countries and even within regions, so two applicants with identical cases can experience very different timelines. One may receive an interview notice within weeks, while another waits several months because their post has more limited capacity or is clearing a prior backlog. Enhanced screening and background checks are also shaping timelines. While rarely labeled publicly as a pause, additional review layers are slowing some cases, especially those that require extra identity verification, name checks for common names, or security advisory opinions. Applicants typically see a generic case under review in CEAC with no further detail, which is frustrating, but silence does not automatically mean denial. It usually means the file is waiting in a queue for review, for a cleared hit, or for post capacity to open. Because planning is where families gain control, here's how to think about NVC timing in 2026. Overall, the process is stable but slow, not shut down, not suddenly fast. Plan in months, not weeks, especially if your case relies on visa bulletin movement or if your consulate has limited capacity. Meanwhile, preparation matters more than ever. Clean, complete, and accurate documents are the best way to avoid avoidable delays. And when NVC asks for corrections, responding quickly and precisely prevents you from falling to the back of the review line. Patience remains essential, but so does awareness. Monitor your CEAC account and email. Read every message twice, and track the visa bulletin, because movement in priority dates is what ultimately unlocks scheduling for preference categories. To make this practical, let's translate NVC mechanics into a checklist you can execute without guesswork. First, understand the sequence. After USCIS approves a petition, I-130, I-140, or sometimes I-730, it ships the case to NVC. The NVC assigns a case number and invoice ID, sends a welcome letter, and unlocks fees in CEAC. You pay the affidavit of support fee and the immigrant visa fee, complete the DS-260 immigrant visa application online, and then upload 2 sets of documents: financial, I-864 or I-864EZ, I-864A, plus the petitioner's most recent tax transcript, W-2s, 1099s if helpful, proof of current income, and evidence of U.S. domicile, and civil, passport biographic page, birth and marriage certificates, divorce decrees if applicable, police certificates that meet reciprocity rules, court and military records where required, and 2 photos at the interview stage. Once uploaded, NVC reviews for completeness. If all is acceptable, CEAC shows documentarily qualified, and you wait for an interview letter when the visa number and post capacity align. If not, NVC issues a checklist asking for specific corrections. Every time you resubmit, the file re-enters the queue. So a common tactic is to pre-audit your packet before the first upload, using the reciprocity table and I-864 instructions as your source of truth. On the affidavit of support, several points cause repeated delays. The I-864 must be signed by the petitioner even if a joint sponsor is used. Household size must be calculated correctly, including the sponsor, spouse, dependent children, any tax dependents, and all intending immigrants. The income must meet at least 125% of the federal poverty guidelines for the current year, 100% for active duty military sponsoring spouse or child. And if income is insufficient, you may add a joint sponsor or count assets that are readily convertible to cash within a year. 5 times the shortfall for most categories, or 3 times for spouses and children of U.S. citizens. Sponsors should upload IRS tax transcripts rather than only Form 1040 PDFs, because transcripts are clearer and preferred. Proof of current income can include pay stubs and an employment letter on letterhead. If self-employed, include 1099s, a profit and loss statement if available, and bank statements. Domicile is often overlooked. Petitioners living abroad must show they will reestablish U.S. domicile by the time the intending immigrant is admitted, with evidence such as a lease, job offer, relocation plan, voter registration, or bank activity. Civil documents must match the State Department reciprocity table exactly. That means obtaining the correct version of a birth certificate, long form if required. Ensuring police certificates come from the right authority and cover every country where the applicant lived for the specified durations, and providing certified translations that are complete and accurate. NVC rejects blurry scans, crooked pages, photographs of documents with fingers visible, and multi-page documents uploaded out of order. The safest approach is to scan to PDF in black and white at 300 dpi. Name files clearly, e.g. surname given, birth cert PDF, and ensure each upload fits CEAC's size limits without compressing so much that text becomes hard to read. Do not upload extraneous evidence, 10 years of photos, because the consulate will review bona fides at the interview. NVC wants the checklist items and nothing more. Applicants often ask what documentarily qualified truly means. DQ means NVC accepted your financial and civil documents and placed the case in line for scheduling, but it does not guarantee an interview date. The next email you want is the appointment scheduled letter, and between DQ and that letter, the timing depends on two things: whether your priority date is current and how many interviews your post can conduct. Some families receive an interview within 4 to 8 weeks of DQ. Others wait 6 months or more. While you wait, keep documents fresh. Police certificates may expire depending on country rules. Passports should have at least 6 months of validity beyond the interview window, and marriages or births should be reported promptly so derivatives can be added correctly. If you receive a 221G refusal at the interview, often called administrative processing, it usually means the officer needs additional documents or security checks. Read the sheet carefully, provide exactly what is requested via the method indicated, drop-off, courier, or upload, and avoid sending unrelated items. AP can last days to months. Repeated emails without new evidence do not speed the process, but if you pass posted timeframes and hear nothing, a targeted status inquiry or congressional assistance can be appropriate. Embassy capacity realities deserve a moment. Posts decide their monthly allotments based on staffing, local conditions, and competing demands: immigrant versus non-immigrant visas, emergency appointments, adoption cases, etc. If your assigned post is severely backlogged and you have a compelling reason to transfer, residency in another country, long-term work assignment, medical circumstances, you can request a post-transfer, but approvals vary, and moving a case can introduce new delays if the receiving post has its own queue. Weigh the pros and cons with facts, and remember that requests should be supported by evidence. Residence permits, employer letters, flight orders, not just preference. Because applicants constantly ask, "What can I do to speed things up?" Here are steps that actually move the needle. First, pre-clear your affidavit of support with the current poverty guidelines and tax transcripts before you upload. Second, obtain civil documents that match reciprocity specifications, not just local habits. Third, label files cleanly, keep file sizes within limits, and submit all required items in one go rather than piecemeal. Fourth, when NVC asks for corrections, fix everything in the message, not just the first bullet. Check the entire packet again to avoid a second checklist. Fifth, once DQ, prepare for the interview so you can schedule the medical exam the moment an appointment letter arrives. Sixth, if an aging out risk exists for a child, monitor CSPA rules and consider a targeted expedite request with evidence showing dates and potential harm. Seventh, Keep passports valid and, where required, renew early, so visa validity, typically tied to the medical exam and passport expiration, does not shorten your entry window unnecessarily. Planning for interview day can reduce stress and repeat visits. Bring the appointment letter, original civil documents, and one set of copies, the DS-260 confirmation page, 2 photos meeting the consulate's specifications, the sealed medical exam packet from the panel physician, updated financial evidence if the sponsor's income changed, and evidence of the relationship where relevant, especially for spousal cases, though quality beats volume. Arrive early, dress neatly, answer questions directly and truthfully, and do not volunteer long narratives. If something has changed, address, job, marital status, state it plainly and provide documentation. After approval, track passport return through the consulate's courier system and do not make irreversible travel plans until you physically possess the passport with the visa. Check the visa foil for accuracy, name, date of birth, case category, and note the visa expiration date, which is often tied to the medical exam's validity, typically 6 months but shorter if the passport expires sooner or TB follow-up is required. For employment-based applicants, coordinate with your employer on start dates and relocation timelines. If the visa is subject to country-specific security clearances, set expectations that AP may delay arrival. Carry copies of your approved petition and job offer even if not required, as they can help answer officer questions. Understand that your immigrant visa will convert to permanent residence upon entry and that you will receive your green card by mail after paying the USCIS immigrant fee online. For sponsors and petitioners, remember your obligations extend beyond the interview. The affidavit of support remains enforceable until the immigrant becomes a U.S. citizen, earns 40 qualifying quarters, departs permanently, or dies. If your income changes dramatically post-DQ, bring updated evidence to the interview to prevent a last-minute 221G. If you reside abroad, collect strong proof of reestablishing domicile, property leases, job offer letters, school enrollment for children, shipping receipts, and be ready to explain how you will be living in the U.S. when your family arrives. Communication with NVC should be purposeful. Use the public inquiry form when you need to update a case, new child, new passport, address change, when your case is outside posted review times, or when you have a concrete question. Attach PDFs rather than cell phone photos. Include the case number in the subject line, and give the system time to respond. Duplicate submissions and daily emails do not accelerate processing and can cause confusion. Throughout this period, protect yourself from misinformation. Social posts often oversimplify or exaggerate. Use the State Department's Visa Bulletin page, the reciprocity schedules, the NVC's official step-by-step guidance, and your specific consulate's website as anchors. If you hire help, choose licensed attorneys or reputable nonprofits. Avoid unlicensed agents who promise guaranteed results or tell you to hide facts, because misrepresentation can cause denials and long-term bars. Finally, understand the emotional side of this stage. NVC waiting is quiet, and that quiet can feel like nothing is happening. But in January 2026, the system is functioning, slowly in some places, steadily in others. The goal is to remove yourself from the avoidable delay category by making your packet clean, your updates prompt, and your expectations grounded in how priority dates and post capacity actually work. Improvement is possible this year, but it will likely be gradual, so plan your life in months. Keep your documents current and use the time to prepare for a fast finish when your interview letter arrives. We will continue tracking NVC processing trends closely and bring you clear updates as soon as timelines shift or new guidance is released, so you never have to rely on rumors during such an important stage of your immigration journey. Immigration Update Desk exists to give you precise, source-linked guidance across visitor visas like B1, B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student paths, family and employment green cards including EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and the practical steps, forms, fees, medicals, translations, courier pickups that turn approvals into arrivals. If you haven't already, please subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss timely alerts, and thank you for watching. On behalf of everyone here, I'm Alex Grant, and I'll see you in the next update where we'll walk through a live CEAC upload session, fix the top 5 I-864 mistakes in under 10 minutes, and show you how to read the next visa bulletin to know the exact week to expect your interview letter based on your category, your country, and your post's capacity.